Welcome to the Emily Otto Show, business coaching for rebel healers, priestesses, and other witchy women. This podcast will give you the tools to help you build and scale your online healing business so you can help more people and make more money. My goal is for you to enjoy your life and business with plenty of time for pleasure and play. I am over the moon delighted you're here. Let's start today's episode.
Yay! All right. Welcome to another podcast episode of the Emily Otto Show. I am so excited today because I'm joined by another awesome mom in business who also is a member of my Rebelle Mastermind. Anna, would you mind introducing yourself, who you are, what you do, where people can find you?
Yeah, I am so excited to be here. My name is Anna Locke, and I am a life coach for moms in business. I love working with creative, multi-passionate women and really supporting them in coming home to themselves through the transition from maiden to mother on a personal level and identity level, while also creating a business or purpose-driven work beyond the purpose-driven work of motherhood.
Yeah. And that's a big thing I wanted the two of us to talk about because I think it's so freaking different building a business and scaling it and supporting clients as a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was building my business, I didn't see many other moms of young children doing it. Did you?
No, honestly, like that's why you were always on my radar and why I joined the mastermind and hired you as my coach. Cause I'm like, okay, she's, just like that step ahead of me. She has 2 kids. I'm currently just dating my second kid,
Yay.
2 boys too. And just seeing you, not just grow an abundant and successful business while raising 2 tiny, tiny babies and kids, but do it in a way that really blended just your life into your work and motherhood and all the things and all your passions beyond that too. So it wasn't just like I've seen women, grow a 6-figure business while giving birth, but they're just like prioritizing their business and their work, and it's basically like they're running a 9 to 5 or like a 8 to midnight, whatever. And so what I'm drawn to is just that. I mean, it's not balance, but it's that full integration of being able to say like, hey, I want to show up for my business and my clients, and I want to show up for my kids, and I want to show up for myself and my own, purpose and passion and soul's callings and my relationships. And just seeing that, it doesn't mean we give 100% of ourselves to all the things every single day, but it is possible to blend it together and make it work, even if it's messy.
Yeah. And like trusting the messiness of it because I could have kept a 9 to 5 job. I didn't want that, especially breastfeeding 2 little humans and they're so amazing. And there are moments when you want to not spend any time with them at all. But most of it is like, I just want to snuggle you and get to know you. And Rowan is, what is he, 18 months right now? And it's such a fun stage of he's saying new phrases all the time. He's got this adorable personality and the best dimples ever. And I just want to spend so much time with him while having an awesome business and working with awesome people and actually like enjoy all of my life. That was my experience too, of seeing women who gave birth and had tiny humans, but then the little baby was like with the nanny all the time. And it still seemed like the mom was hustling all the time. And that's cool if that's what you want to do, like no mom shame, but that's not what I want to do. I want to snuggle my babies and not work late at night and not hustle hard.
Yeah. Hmm. And I think there's a lot of us, especially business owners and entrepreneurs, who are craving that blend of being, like a part-time business owner and a part-time mom, in terms of chunking up your day. But
Yeah.
there's really no model or no label for that. Cause it's like, okay, you're pregnant. Your options are do full-time daycare, or be a stay-at-home mom. And it's like, especially in those first couple of years, what if we need a blend and what's that going to look like? And do we have permission to acknowledge our own needs and desires on both sides of the work motherhood coin.
I think that's a big, and I know one of my bosses, she even said that. I was working for IBM, a multiple $6 billion global company. And my boss was like, well, what happens when women get pregnant and give birth is you're either fully 100% committed to motherhood or fully 100% committed to work. And I was
Mm,
like, that's dumb.
yeah.
I'm not doing that. I want to be a mom and be myself too and do things I'm passionate about. I remember a friend who didn't have kids asking me, she's like, "Oh, what do you do for fun?" I'm like, my business. I dance when I can. I go to yoga. I love my business. It's what I do for fun and it's what I do for me."
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
How so you have multiple businesses though. How have you found that experience as a mom and having like physical business things and like online business things too?
Yeah. So it's funny because I saw kind of like my future. So I started my businesses long before I had kids because I never really could find my groove in my 20s in terms of finding a job and life circumstances. And I was looking ahead and knowing that eventually I wanted to have kids. And
Hmm.
so what I didn't want and what I was seeing my managers and bosses doing is getting pregnant. And I worked at a nonprofit and two in a row had to quit their jobs because they couldn't afford full-time daycare when we were living in Chicago at the time, on our nonprofit salaries. And I was like, okay, like I know I don't want to have to be forced into a decision. And I also know I don't want to work for someone else just to put 100% of my salary into daycare. And so that's originally why I was drawn to, to take the plunge into entrepreneurship. But I started as a health and fitness coach. That was like my gateway. And then ended up starting an Etsy shop because I've always been a really creative person and I just wanted a creative outlet and a way to fund my yarn and fabric addiction. Yeah, and that was like, oh man, probably close to 10 years ago. Yeah, or more than 10 years ago. So since then, as life has evolved, right now I still run my Etsy shop and I sew mainly accessories and now baby clothes. And yeah, and I'm a life coach and I love supporting women on a one-on-one capacity. So yeah, I'm just having kids has made me or a kid so far. I feel like I have two kids already.
Oh, you definitely do. Oh my gosh, like your energy and attention and nourishment like requires sustaining the little bean inside of you.
Yeah, this is
Big
true.
bean.
So I've been forced to really simplify, and streamline, and really focus on okay, what's super important, like what's the one thing I want to do, the two things I want to do, and let go of all of the distractions and sparkly ideas and side projects. So it's also motherhood has also given me a different, much deeper perspective, obviously, on where I'm coming from and who I am as a person, as a woman,
Mhm.
and the work I do. I've always been really passionate about menstrual cycle awareness and just living seasonally in terms of ebbing and flowing with the seasons of our lives. And so just yeah, that transition from like the maiden to mother archetype, like in life, has been really deep and profound for me, which is why I also love supporting moms who usually tend to be newer moms like me too, because it is such a huge shift. So, and I love, I just can't not have two businesses. Like I love having the Etsy shop, the product based business. It
So
balances out
cool.
the service based business because there's something super, super vulnerable about like selling yourself as a coach and putting your services out there. And so
Yeah.
I love being able to say, like, okay, I'm past my comfort zone for the day. I'm just going to like play with some pretty fabric and been able to hone my, sales and marketing and creative business skills on both sides, bring that to the table. And so it's like a fun blend. And yeah, and then also having kids in terms of my product business, I've been able to start making and selling handmade baby clothes, which is like, it's something I've always been, even as a little girl, I loved drawing paper dolls, and I loved sewing doll clothes, and just kind of wanted to be a wedding designer or wedding dress designer for a phase of life. So just
Mm.
being able to like bring and bridge that gap of like little Anna into reality has been super fun too. So
That's so
yeah.
awesome. I love that you've been able to create what you want while having two little boys, of, okay, I just think that's such a big thing, especially as moms, and we don't see the role models and we don't see people telling us that. We see people saying, well, your options are put the child in daycare full time, which costs an arm and a leg, especially where we live in Grand Rapids and in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and then, or Chicago, or it's, well, quit your job and then full-time mom. And I tried the full-time mom thing during the pandemic in the summer, and I was like, oh no, no, this isn't going to work for me. I mean, we're full-time mothers no matter what. Like, you can't turn that off.
Yeah. But like full-time childcare mom.
Yeah.
Full-time like hands-on mom. Yeah. When we moved to Grand Rapids, Michigan from Chicago about a year and a half ago. Like, I don't know,
Wow.
time flies. Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
does. Oh my gosh.
it was like in October, not a year and a half. It was like October of 2021. So I've been
Okay.
here over a year. And for the first 8 months of landing here, we were just on wait lists because we had part-time childcare in Chicago. That's what I love. I need
I
my
love
three
part-time.
days. I need my
Me
three
too.
days of like full day. Give me the full day. Just send him off for 10 hours. He comes home happy and wired and gets to
Yes. And so exhausted and ready to go to sleep at night. I tried 2 days. Did you try 2 days? I did not love that.
Yeah, we started with 3 half days because in Chicago I had this awesome setup. This is just a side note. It's called Lay Village. If
Hmm.
anyone out there listening lives in Grand Rapids and wants to start a franchise of a co-working space with on-site childcare,
Oh my
I have
God. Yes.
I have your hookup. I do not want to be the franchisee, but my friend Daniela is in Chicago with Lay Village and looking for this franchise here in Grand Rapids. Anyway, so I had this
Ooh.
awesome space with other business owners and creatives, and could put Thomas into the childcare room and still be on site to breastfeed and just like check in on him. So it was like a little transition into daycare, which was so perfect in those first couple years. So we started 3 half days, and then he was still napping a lot. And as the naps shortened, yeah, I was like, okay, you just need to be out of the house for 3 full days so I can be at home for 3 full days
Yes.
just to
Yes.
like get stuff done, but also just like recover from the days that I'm full on mom, Tuesdays and Thursdays. But I also
Yeah.
get those days we can like go to the story times and have all the little fun adventures together, and I can be the mom that I want to be. And so that's been a really good balance. And I'm already trying to decide, okay, what's our plan for when I have, an infant at home too. So planning to
Totally.
probably just like have a babysitter come over part time.
That's Yeah, that's
And
what I did with
yeah.
both kids. I had like a mother's helper 17-year-old with Cedar who was she had like a weird flex schedule. It was her senior year, so she was going to college in addition to being in high school. And she would literally nap with him. I was so jealous. They would just like nap together on the couch and while I worked. And it's like, that looks
Aw,
really
that's a
nice.
win-win. Yeah, just someone to come over and hang out with the baby so I can still, breastfeed and be there.
Yeah.
But like with a 2 or 3-year-old, like they need to be in a different facility.
Oh my God. I have tried on Mondays. On Mondays, my husband has the kids for 2 hours or so while I work on my business because I was in corporate for 15 years. So Monday morning, I have this big desire to like hit the
Hmm.
ground running.
Yes,
And
I
I
love
realized,
Mondays.
yeah, like I like doing that. So he hangs out with them, but they're still in the house. And lately I've been realizing as they're 4 and 1.5, like
Uh,
I can't batch content like reels or videos because they are so loud.
and they have that
Um,
mommy radar. They're
oh
like,
my gosh.
mommy's
And they're like,
here.
we
I
know
want
mom is home. Where's mommy? I want to see mommy. And so, but I think it's been so lovely to get to craft what I do and when based on what I want to do with my kids. And I'm hearing you say that too, of like, it was really important for me to breastfeed until about a year for each kid. And that requires the tiny bean, especially when they're itty bitty, to be with you, like right with you.
Yeah. So I'm just really grateful I never had to pump, and then COVID. So I like really never had to pump or go through, because I've seen so many of my friends who do work, just like a regular job, have to put their kid in daycare at like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 4 months, like ridiculously early. And just that emotional distress that it sends you into, because like you're still connected to this tiny human and you still need them as much as they need you. And it's just like completely inhumane. So this is like my countercultural attempt to just like do it my own way in a way that works.
It's the rebellion, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is inhumane. And honestly, it should be a human rights crisis. Honestly, the idea of taking a mom and baby and separating them at that young is insane. And America is one of the only countries that doesn't protect that.
Yeah, no one wins. No one wins. The baby doesn't win. The daycare workers don't win. They're so underpaid. And it's just,
underpaid, understaffed. And now they have this newborn baby that they have to deal with. That, of course, I mean, our nervous systems are so tied to our babies, and that's on purpose. And so when you're separated by distance, and then for 8-10 hours a day, that sucks. And like, mom, we have to do what we have to do to pay the bills and put food in the fridge. Like, this is not a mom shame or like blaming moms, but it is blaming the system.
Yes.
The system is fucked up and it's not okay.
Yeah, it's a system thing. And then it leads to moms blaming themselves because we can't change the system. So we don't really see the system. We're just in it. And so we put all that guilt on ourselves for not being able to be there, and just feel like it's our personal failing. Yeah, it's
terrible. And I love that you bring up the mom guilt, because especially as a mom running a business or multiple businesses, there's so much that comes with that of like, well, now I'm not giving full attention to my kids, or full attention. Oh yeah, husbands or partners, like that's a thing. I guess they need attention sometimes. And then there's the business. And so it feels like a lose, lose, lose situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we need to change the conversation from wanting to have a balanced life or work-life balance to needing to be supported and building our network, building that village around us that we aren't just automatically provided with these days. And, having lots of communication with our partners about our expectations and about our needs, and being okay with saying, hey, this is what I need. What do you need? How can we show up for each other and have, a partnership or a team, here, and just think outside ourselves, because we put so much pressure on ourselves to do the self-care or to take care of ourselves on top of taking care of everybody else, which is only going to backfire and burn us into the ground and make us even more resentful towards our partners. And so, I think just like shifting that pressure to like have our work-life balance figured out on our own into, okay, like, what do I want and what kind of support am I going to need in order to create that for myself, whether that is daycare or childcare, or just like creating a flex work schedule, opposite shifts with your partner, or, finding another mom who also has a small child to do childcare swaps, or looking into your community resources. Or can you hire support? Where can you hire support, and where can you create support for yourself? It's just like, we're not meant to do this alone. And I don't think, when you look at a mom, especially on Instagram or on social media, and you're like, how does she do it? Like, she's not doing it. Like, she's not doing it by herself. Yeah.
Really.
And if she is, she's probably not as happy as she looks online.
Right. Totally.
It's like ripping off the cover of like, realistically, okay, like I can't do what I want to do without, someone teaming up to help me raise my children. Even if I do want to be the primary or a primary caregiver, that doesn't mean I have to be the only sole caregiver 24/7.
I love that. I love the permission and all the examples you gave of how to do it differently. And I think that's the game changer, is anytime as an entrepreneur or as a mompreneur, anytime you feel backed into a corner, like, well, it's either this choice or this choice, it's black and white. And instead being like, okay, what do I want? What are my desires? And then seeing all the different possibilities. Okay, do I hire a house cleaner? Do I need to articulate what's going on in my brain better to my partner so that they can pick up the pieces? Or do we need to have like grocery delivery systems? Or, how do I get support? And I hired a one-on-one business coach while I was pregnant with Rowan and for the first 6 months prior to that, and it took me a lot of work to be like, oh, can I afford this? Do I need this? And it's like, wait. What if I just decide that I don't want to struggle and do this alone and I get to be supported? And that was a game changer. Like, oh, I get to be supported. Okay. Like when we hire doulas and midwives, like, hold on, I get to have support. I don't just have to struggle bus it until it works.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Deciding you get to have support and that's normal.
And normalizing it, right? Like, no, you can't do it all. Nope. We were never meant to. And the system is completely screwed up and doesn't support women or moms at all.
Yeah. So we have to support each other and and receive.
And receive, which is so hard, right? It's so hard, but it's so beautiful, whether it's receiving support from somebody we're hiring or from our partners of like, nope, they're not going to do the dishes in the time that I would or at the same rate or way. And nope, dinner's going to be different. But you know what? Fine. Let's try it.
And the fact is, if you don't receive help or acknowledge your needs, you're going to crash and burn and you're going to hit the wall and you are going to have just like one of those hard days or hard weeks or phases where you just feel like you're completely crumbling, which is also just part of the journey. That's normal too. It's, if you're going
I love normalizing
the newborn phase or a sleep regression or just like, I don't know, postpartum depression or anxiety or rage, or just like a dark season where you feel like you're being turned into mush, just like trusting that process and trusting that it's not going to last forever and you're going to come out stronger and wiser, but also you're not alone when you're in it.
You're not alone. And it's normal, in air quotes. I will never forget my doula in the parenting class saying, when you have your baby and it's screaming at the top of its lungs and you don't know what it needs and you've fed it and you've changed it and you haven't had any sleep and you're exhausted and you're hungry, you're going to want to lose your mind. Set the baby down somewhere safe, walk outside for 2 minutes, come back in. And right. And I've had to do that with both children. And it was so nice to have it normalized and not beat myself up for it of like, oh, I'm not a good enough mom and I couldn't hack it and blah, blah, blah. But just, of course.
Taking care of your mental health is being a good mom. Yeah. Just the other day, I had to strap my screaming 3-year-old into his car seat in the cold garage and shut the door on him just to put him in a safe place.
And he's fine.
Take a moment. Yeah. Came back. He was fine. Like we went shopping. It's fine.
Yeah. Rowan is just starting to tantrum and like be demanding about his nose. And it's like, oh yeah, this phase. And trusting it's a season, it's a phase, this too shall pass. Because when you're in it as a mom, you're like, it's always going to be this way and it's never going to change. And this is the worst. But talking to another mom who's been there and done that and then getting support, so key.
Yes. You can get through it and you're doing it.
And you're doing it. Like you're going to get through it, but you get to get through it with support.
Yes.
And I love that. I want to touch on one more big point that you talked about with building your business, especially. And I know we both preach this all the time, but making it simple. When you're a mom of tiny humans, like we are not creating massive, crazy funnel strategies. We are not doing everything everywhere all at once. We're not building and launching program after program after program. It's you do one-on-one coaching with your people. And I'm simplifying this year too. It's like there's 2 programs. There's the mastermind, there's one-on-one coaching and VIP days. That's it. I think that's key of focus on how do I support my current clients? How do I invite new ones in? And how do I make it simple and easy again and again and again?
Yeah. And I think that's, what I've been learning too, because it's hard because I have been coaching for so many years that I do have a backlog of, offerings and products and groups and courses and things I could dredge back up and recreate and
Uh-huh.
relaunch. And it's like tempting to just like get into that new shiny launch phase. But at the same time, over the last couple of years, I have tried that and it has not worked because I just end up spreading myself thin, not giving my offers enough time to gain momentum they need to bring in that sustainable, clients and income. And so it's been really hard for me, like a lot of ego death moments, to just be like, okay, let's trim, prune, do the pruning. And just knowing that like this is just a season. And if I really want to launch something, like I still can. This is my career for the rest of my life. But my very
Totally.
favorite thing that I love is the one-on-one coaching, just building those deep relationships with a small number of women. And that is the number one best thing that I can do during this, year that I'm going to have a baby in a few months, because I can still show up and hire a babysitter for a few hours a week to do my client sessions, to feel connected to my purpose outside of the trenches of motherhood. And it'll create that sustainable, consistent income. And like it gets to be simple and it gets to be easy, and I get to commit to this just like one offer and connecting with the women that I really want to be connecting with and serving right now, on a deeper level, and working through all of my own mindset uh, stuff that comes
Totally.
to the surface along the way when you decide to go deep and go all in on what your number one, just like heart led priority is.
Right? There's so much that comes up of like, oh, is it not the right offer? I should be launching another thing and doing something differently. And I do the same thing. I just decided yesterday CEO Enchantress won't run again until 2025. And it's like,
Wow.
am I really going to do that? Like all the limiting beliefs that come up. And
All
I'm
the
so great.
FOMO.
Right? I'm like, but people and clients and consistent income. And it's like, no, there are other ways. And it simplifies and streamlines. And then I don't have to do this like massive launch multiple times a year. And I worked for a friend's business. She launched a new program like every 6 weeks. And I watched it, and she does not have children. And I was like, I'm a
Yeah.
manifesting generator. And even though I am, and I'm a Leo and an ENFP, I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah, not sustainable, not desirable. Good
No.
for
And
her.
it wasn't for her either. Like she's since folded that business.
Aw.
So
Yeah. Well, you live
yeah.
and you learn, and that's the cool thing is we can learn from each other too and just observe. Yeah.
Yeah. And get support and simplify. I really think that's the name of the game
Yeah.
for mom entrepreneurs is
Yes.
like, get support, get focused on what you need to do when you need to do it, which is a lot of what we do in the mastermind with all
Mhm.
of my awesome clients there of like, okay, but for you in particular, what's the next thing to focus on to move the needle and feel good about it?
Yes. Yeah, and that's so important too, just to have that accountability of regular calls with someone who can just nudge you back into line, or just like have those regular checkups with, okay, what am I not showing up for, or what's my plan for the week, and just like stay mentally focused,
Yeah.
on that weekly plan as well. Just knowing you're gonna have to show up and and
I love
say,
that.
I'm
Cause like,
back.
right? Because like you know what to do in your business. Like you
Right.
don't need at this stage, it's not like you need a marketing course or a sales course. It's more, okay, I know what I need to do, but how do I need to do it and stay committed to the things I want to be committed to?
Yeah, yeah, and it's like the things that are easy to do, but also easy not to do when you're working for yourself and no one's looking over your shoulder and holding you accountable
Oh
to the
yeah.
company's quarterly goals and mission. It's like you have to be that CEO, and yeah, it can be hard to do when life is so busy and full and demanding, and there's more things that seem more urgent.
All the time, right? Especially when we have little ones that come home
Yeah,
sick, or like both of us have been sick with colds for the last couple of
yeah,
weeks. And so it's like, okay, I've got maybe an hour of headspace. What do I focus
yeah,
on and when based on what I want in my business?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and having someone to help bounce ideas and help you create that action plan and that game plan and strategy. Yeah, and then hold the space to just like support you emotionally and mentally as you grow into it is critical. It's so important. And
I think
childcare.
so
Yeah.
too.
Business or
And
life coach
childcare.
and childcare. It's like the only two business investments that you really need as a new mom.
I love that. Yeah, they're the big ones. They're the game changers, you know?
Mhm.
Cool. Well, tell folks where they can find you and how they can work with you right now.
Yeah, it's really easy. You can just go to my website, Anna Maria Locke, LOCKE.com. Everything's on there. I love blogging too. I have some really juicy resources that you can download for free around cycle syncing, cycle awareness, as well as motherhood and business. And I'm also at Anna Maria Locke on Instagram, where I show up mostly. Um, Send a weekly newsletter out with encouragement and updates, and you can sign up for that on my website. So yeah, I'm working on creating a new free audio course called the
Ooh.
5-day glow up for moms who just like are feeling a little burned out and want to reconnect with that inner queen archetype. They want to be queen of their castle again, and yeah, just like rejuice their business and their purpose and their soul's calling. Um, Really good timing as we head out of winter into spring. So if you follow me, you can keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, yeah, I'd love to connect and say hi with anyone. And right now, yeah, I am taking on one-on-one clients for anyone who wants some deeper long-term support in the next season of their business and motherhood journey.
Yay. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was so fun to chat.
It was.
That's it for today. Share this episode with other Rebelle healers so they too can make more money and deeply support their people. Join my free Facebook group at Business Coaching for Rebelle Healers with Emily Otto, and stay tuned for next week's episode. XOXO.